And now, coming to you live from Bill Gates' Panic Room, powered by Apple, this is Half-Baked News, with your half-serious host, Mark Herr.
Hello. Let's play a word game.
Seattle is on edge. Protesters showing no signs of leaving this 6-block area after taking it over a week ago. Now festive, crowded, and peaceful, demonstrators pitching tents and planting gardens this weekend in the newly renamed Capitol Hill Occupied protest.
We're here in peace and solidarity for a cause that needs to change.
Their demands: reduce funding for the Seattle Police Department, invest in the Black community, and release arrested protesters.
4 years ago, on the same station.
In the woods of Oregon, the final anti-government protesters occupying a federal wildlife refuge have surrendered to the FBI.
The FBI closed in on the occupiers last night, a dramatic development that was also live streamed with tens of thousands listening.
Come out with your hands up. No, we're not. You're going to have to kill us.
Well, let's be clear. Armed occupation of federal property is a crime. It is not a peaceful protest.
Armed militants took over the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge nearly 6 weeks ago, protesting federal ownership of Western lands. 2 weeks ago, one occupier was shot and killed in a confrontation with law enforcement, and several others were arrested, including Ammon and Ryan Bundy. Last night, their father, Cliven Bundy, was also taken into custody after landing at the Portland airport. He was not part of the occupation. Rather, his arrest stems from an armed standoff with law enforcement 2 years ago in Nevada, a battle over unpaid grazing fees. Now, Cliven Bundy faces several felony charges and joins his sons behind bars.
While the occupation is over, the refuge will still be closed for weeks. The sheriff calls it a crime scene. The FBI says it must be searched for explosives. In all, 25 people linked to the occupation have now been indicted on federal felony charges. Lester?
And since this occupied area spans several city blocks, police now say it takes 3 times longer to respond to 911 calls, putting even more pressure on leaders and protesters to resolve this as quickly as possible. Protesters.
Armed militants.
Protesters.
Armed militants.
Anti-government.
Demonstrators.
Armed militants.
Demonstrators.
Anti-government.
Protesters.
Anti-government. Anti-government.
Demonstrators.
Armed militants.
Protesters.
Demonstrators.
Armed militants.
Anti-government.
Occupier.
Protesters.
Aren't word games fun?
Thanks for watching.